What's up, guys? Today I have a very special guest, Mr. Andy Rosas.
Let's go. What's going on, Will? It's been a while, man. Great to see you again.
Yes. Very excited to have you around. I know that you're a big inspiration on my day-to-day activities. For you guys that don't know, before we get started, I was in the coaching program, and even though it was built for agents, I was the first loan officer ever involved.
That's right. Have a guy's first loan officer. That's true, man. That's true.
And it was amazing, man. It did help me organize a lot. I know it's a lot of like habits and training, things like that to help me get in place, but thank you.
Awesome. I'm going to let Coach Mike know.
Yes.
I remember those coaching calls and Dez. Remember Dez?
Yes.
The daily efficiency sheet? Let's go.
I still do the DES. I still write it down every day.
You do?
I still use it, yes.
Yeah, productivity so huge. Still is.
I modified it to myself, my DES Revolution.
You remixed it. That's right. The Dez Revolution. That's right. You called it that. You changed it yourself. You're like, hey, I call it something different. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That was so good.
So I was excited to bring you on board because when I speak to you about cold calling, lead gen, and everything that you're doing, it's like, hey, I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think so many people are going about trying new things. I think the more people are scared of the market and they just like dumping money at new systems.
Oh my gosh, big time. Yeah. People are trying to buy leads like more than ever now, right?
But they don't know how to work leads.
Oh, let's go, man. Where do we start with this one? We can go so.
So my question to you is basically that. How often do you see that agents that come to you, they're deciding, hey, I want to buy leads, but they've never even learned how to call a lead first, right?
Yeah. And that's a big thing right now. First, I'm hearing a lot of that with our coaching students where they're like, I'm gonna buy leads. I'm gonna hire AI or VAs. That's a big one. I'm gonna hire a VA to call my leads. And it's like, how do you even know if the VA is doing a good job with the leads you're paying for? How do you even know if that person is actually having the right conversation on the phone with that lead? And how do you know that they're actually following up with them? Like, if you can't do it yourself, you can't hire someone else to do it. Like, you have to have that understanding.
So I literally had this conversation with an LO, though, and I was like, look, man, I want to build all this thing. I'm like, look, first of all, before you do all of that, who's going to train these people? No, listen to me. You have to master your craft.
Come on
Cold calling.
Yep.
What your steps are, what your purpose is, and what your systems look like.
Yep.
And then you train a VA to do the same thing you already did.
Correct.
So then you could actually see conversion. I've had VAs into my system helping my agents and my teams. And by the way, I'm not an agent. I'm just saying, like, I work with my agents. I call them my agents, but to grow for 7 years. And the biggest mistake I did is that I never coached them. I just hired somebody, hey, learn. Jump on the phone.
And just do it, yeah.
And they just call and they couldn't convert like enough, right? Like it wasn't worth the money because I never coached them. I never learned to do that. Now, I'm good on the phone, naturally good because of maybe my skill and my background and everything. So I know I always say I'm lucky on the phone because I do really well on it.
Yeah.
But I didn't have. Now I'm better. I didn't have a set skill for me to train somebody to do the same thing as I do.
Yeah. And that's big. Because when you hire someone, also, we say you got to know your numbers also, because how do you even know if you're doing well or doing not? And you hire somebody, and then you're like, well, they're not doing good enough. Well, how do you know? What is that? The KPIs we call it, right? The key performance indicators. So agents, as you're listening to this, if you don't know how many conversations you need to have to get X amount of leads, to get X amount of listings, to get X amount of meetings, to get X amount of deals, if you don't know your numbers, you'll never know how good or bad leads are. You'll never know how good or bad you're doing. So if you don't know, any agent that I meet when they jump on a call with me to see if coaching makes sense, that's one of the first questions I ask them. Do you know your KPIs? They're like, what?
What's a KPI?
What's a KPI? And they're just randomly calling, randomly saying, oh, these leads don't work. Like, really? How many calls did you make?
These leads don't suck. You suck.
Yeah. I'm actually having a shirt made right now that says, life doesn't suck, your habits do. Because that's what it is. Like, you just gotta. So you gotta know your numbers too. And a lot of agents right now listening, yes, our market is shifting, right? The market was tough, quote unquote. Depends, because the agents that are crushing it right now are crushing it even more than ever. And the agents that were weak on things are just getting annihilated, right? So there's like a separation happening, which is good. I'm glad it's happening. But Will, no, you nailed it. You need to know. Because, yes, gift does get you on the phone, right? Yes, a script can get you on the phone, all that. But just because you're prospecting, calling on the phone doesn't mean you're truly prospecting. Because, man, we listen to agents on the phone, Will, and it's like, man, you were way too friendly or you were way too salesy.
Yeah.
And then agents get into the whole, well, people love me, but then they ghost you.
So I'm going to separate the context of what you're saying a little bit, because I actually had this. I was doing a coaching call. We were coaching a couple of the agents, and I was trying to separate the fact that, hey, look, being good on the phone and being a closer are two different things, right? So sometimes you'll make a best friend on the phone and you don't know when to close it, right?
Oh my gosh,
And we're not trying to be the perfect salesman. I'm just saying, like, at what point in the conversation did you miss the opportunity to close the deal and move on?
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
And as we all know, time is money. Yeah. Like, if I'm jumping on the phone to speak with somebody and my hourly rate is this much, why am I spending this much time on this same client? You know,
Come on.
Let's be real.
And agents do that. They'll call the same 4, 5, 6 people that they're working on their pipeline, and they're not having new conversations on top of that. And guys, we're going to stop here just for a second. Agents, you are in sales. The faster you realize that you are a sales rep for your business, the faster you're going to realize, I need to learn how to speak on the phone. Because the majority of real estate agents never receive sales training. The majority of agents never knew what's, like you said, asking for the close. Like me and you, we know what that means. But someone's going to be like, well, asking for the close. That means, well, if you ever think about buying or selling, let me know. Wrong. Like, dude, what are you talking? You sound so needy there. Like, what are you talking about, right? So understanding, and I got coached, last year I got coached and I thought I was good at sales, but there's always levels to this. And agents, I'm telling you, now more than ever in our coaching, we teach them, we call it BCM method. It's the behavioral communication method, how to truly discover the pain and motivation of what that lead wants. Even if they tell you, I'm going to wait till the market changes. I'm not going to buy right now. A lot of agents are like, okay, well, give me a call if you need me. All right, bye. Like, no, like there's still more you got to go in. So I guess to summarize this, as people are listening to this, you are in sales. And if you don't know sales, learn sales. Learn sales.
Yes. I think there's so much I could open up.
I know. I was gonna say we can package this. We can go.
So I think the popular thing now that I'm trying to talk to my agents and my team about is more the motivation. So you figure out the pain, and that's like one part, which is I know people have been trained on that a lot. And I'm like, but did you ask the person if they sell, what are they gonna do next? What do they hope to achieve next?
Correct.
How can you actually truly help somebody to achieve that next dream?
Correct.
Right? And that is a very genuine effort you could do to help somebody, but it's also a sales method. So you could combine good with good, right? Like you could actually make something great out of asking the right questions and knowing how to close it.
And actually, I'll bring this up because when I say the word sales, I think people have a negative connotation to sales. So let's bring it back. I say the same thing at church. Like as soon as you say church or Jesus or God, people have their walls up on that. So I say be careful what words you use. So sales is just simply a transference of belief. It's believing something so much you want to tell somebody about it. So you're transferring your belief to somebody else. That's what sales is. You're not manipulating, right? Sales is truly helping that person understand their problem so you can help them out. That's what it is. It's not you trying to manipulate and trying to strong arm somebody to do something that they don't want to do. That's not sales at all. That's manipulation. We don't do that here in this business. So as you're listening to this, guys, learn sales, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a coach you've heard about, because you're paying for coaching whether you like it or not.
Yes.
If you're not good on the phone, you're paying for it because all that time you're wasting not closing deals, you're paying for it on missed opportunities. So paying for leads, I'm sure we spoke about that before we got online. So just know that.
I was going to bring that up. So one of the things we're talking about before that, and because we have similar pains, right? And we have a similar dream.
Oh, yeah. And similar haircuts. We got similar haircuts. That's what we got.
But the pains is how much money is spent on leads and leads that people say they don't work, right? And I was brought to the table. I brought to the table saying, look, it's never that the leads don't work, right? It's what stage is the lead in? Is this a 12-month lead, a 9-month lead, a 6-month lead, or a 3-month lead, right? And the only way to close the gap on those and get the biggest return on investment is coaching, right? Yeah. But how many people do you see right now, especially now more than anything, these ads? Like right now, we get off of this, you get off this podcast, and you're gonna get ads. Hey, get leads, get leads, get leads.
Ready.
Don't pay unless you close, or you don't pay a dime. All these like leads are supposed to help you, and then you're 20 grand down, no deals on the table.
Oh my gosh.
And you never learned how to close, or you never understood how the story of a lead works, right?
Yeah. And it goes twofold. People pay for leads because it's like the magic pill. No one wants to go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants the pill that gives you abs, right? So people pay for leads, and two things go wrong. One, they don't even have the habits in place to call that lead, right? That's where we come in, where we show them habits, right? Like how to create the habits of following up. And by the way, you need to follow up with the leads, guys, 7, 9, 10 times. 90% of deals that close happen on the 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th follow-up. So if you're calling a lead just once or twice, you're not going to close them at all. So kind of that expectation, making the call. And then what you just said, Will, so true. Now, once you're on the phone with them, how's that quality of the conversation? Where are you taking them? Is it a friend? Because, man, if you sound too friendly on the phone, they're just going to be like, dude, I'm just going to walk. How can I trust you to negotiate for me? Remember, you're auditioning for the part. And if you can't show authority, we call it, a lot of agents lower their status on the phone. They get needy and they sound like a realtor, and it's just awful. So in a lot of leads that you're calling, as soon as you sound like a realtor on the phone, they're just not going to, you lower your status with them, which essentially affects your closing with them.
Yeah, if you don't get to connect and that, I think the most important, you have to get to connect with somebody, right? And sometimes it's harder to do it if you come off as an agent, or even if you come as an agent, but you maintain a certain status, and you can build a rapport with them. It could be okay. Which, I'm sorry, what I'm talking about might sound like gibberish to you, but coaching, mentoring, whatever. I know we're pushing this down your throat. I think it's just the topic we're talking about
help.
before.
Yeah, just honestly, get help. If you don't get help, what's the other alternative, you know?
Well, let me ask you a question, because I think when we came here, my idea was to ask you what's working right now. Like better than anything, if you're an agent in this business, what do you see that's working? Like teams, solo agents, like where are we going with, how is the fastest way I could go from 0 deals to making deals and being successful in this business? So
what's been happening a lot with our national partners, there's going to be a big push next year in 2025, especially with a lot of now online brokerages becoming more mainstream and people working more in this online kind of thing. People kind of feel isolated. They're on their own. Actually, this last year, we've had the least amount of transactions. And then this year, we were on pace for the least amount of transactions as well as a country. So agents are not getting paid overall. So a big thing we're seeing is teams. Teams. Now, that's another word that people are like, oh, teams, what is that? It's definitely now having agents partner up, right? Where they can actually share resources with one another. And also psychologically, it feels better, right? Because if I did a podcast by myself, it wouldn't be as good as if it did it with you right now, right? Like there's energy around that. So teams, is what's happening out there.
Look, I've been picking up loan officers lately, and it started pretty organic. Like people are reaching out to me. And the funny thing that I see, and as agents and loan officers, people think it's 2 different worlds. It's pretty much the same when it comes to this. But I've seen people come in here that have been in the business a year or even longer or 3 months, and their first week here as being a part of a team, they're like, I've learned more in 2 hours than I've learned, because they're awesome. in a community.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, I learned from you just by sitting next to you and hearing how transactions go and things like that. So the teamwork, the aspect of the teamwork isn't just, hey, what can you do for me? It's just by being around certain people that are in the same mindset and the same thing. It helps you grow. It motivates you. It gets you out of the funk.
It really does. Like going to the gym by yourself, I struggle with that. That's why I have a trainer, right? That's why I go to Orange Theory, because I need to be around other people. Yeah. It shifts the environment. You can only do so much on your own. And I think a lot of agents now, and you're saying a lot on the lending side now, you're seeing a lot of that as well. And I think now as we become more digital and we realize we're a little bit too isolated, I think now humankind overall is just kind of shifting. And in real estate, where you're merging with other people for that community.
Yeah, one of the things we're talking about is that I feel like I was wearing too many hats, right? I'm coaching realtors. I'm helping them generate leads. I'm doing open houses. I am actually helping with social media. I'm helping with so many different things. And I'm okay. I just mentioned a bunch of things. Where do you see loan officer? You know? So then I'm like, okay, now I'm doing my own loans, and I've been doing very well, but I'm like, I need help, right? So I'm like, okay, first, all these things that I'm doing is generating business, right? But now I need more loan officers to help generate that business, to help get that to be a converted lead, whatever. And then, but now I got to train the loan officers as well, right? So that's like too many different hats, which is why
a lot of hats. Yeah.
It's a lot of hats, which is why the way I'm seeing the clear mind that I have now is, all right, we got to start training people from the bottom up to make sure that as the business comes in, the support comes in, the questions are answered, right? And make sure the conversion actually makes sense for everybody, not just the agents I'm partnering up with, the loan officers we're bringing on board, and ultimately the consumer, right? Because at the end of the day, we're trying to do something good by the consumer.
Correct. Serving them at the highest level, right? Yeah.
And how do you do that if you don't have the right team? How do you do that if you don't have the right knowledge? How do you do that if you don't have the right products?
So true. That's so true. And you can't do it all on your own. You can't. Yeah. You really can't. You're good at things that I'm not, and vice versa. And then it's beautiful to have that team environment.
Yes, yes. So I think just to kind of recap, we talked about don't blow your money on leads.
Correct. Like, oh my gosh, we spend so much money, and every time I talk to students, guys, I get buying leads is great and all. It sounds awesome, but a lot of times it's not, based on the habit of you not calling them, and then also you don't know how to speak to them on the phone, right? So as you're listening to this, everybody, and you've thought about buying leads, just kind of keep that in your back pocket as am I ready for these leads to buy? Because everyone thinks you're ready for success, but man, if I were to give people 100 extra leads a month, it might ruin them on so many levels.
Look, I'll make it simple. You want to try calling leads? Give us a call. He has leads. I have leads. You can join some of our coaching sessions. You can see completely for free if this is for you or not.
Yeah.
Before you spend a dime. And if you're any good at it, we can help you out. Like if you're good on the phone, we have the leads. If you start converting, you can start making money before you even invest on anything.
Absolutely. Right? Or if you have questions about teams and you're like, I don't know where do you start on this team? It sounds awesome, guys, but I don't even know what you're kind of talking about. Reach out to us.
Well, I mean, I think teams is a whole topic by itself. So one thing that we'll leave everybody with is, if you're thinking of joining a team, what do you think people is the most negative thing they think about it? Like what's stopping people from joining a team usually? What's the main thing?
Sounds complicated.
Yeah.
It sounds like, man, I got to hire a bunch of people. What I get a lot is, I eventually want to be part of a team, Andy, but I'm not producing enough right now in my individual business, so I can't hire other people. I can barely survive on my own. I can barely get by on my own money, let alone start a team. But 90% of all the agents I speak to that are interviewing with us to either join our team or join our coaching, and that's one of the questions, do you want to create a team? They're like, yes, but I'm not ready for it right now. Yes, but not. They always think it's down the road, right? But based off what you're saying, Will, is that can happen now. If they don't know how to speak, you'll train them, right? If you need leads, you got them. Right? If you need that community, that environment, it's here. Like when I walked in here, I was already I was taking video, right? I'm taking video of the studio, of the room, of the environment, all the offices. It's an energy. Yes. It's beautiful. Working from home, like, man, it can only get so exciting.
I mean, I'm going to ask you to repeat that again, but the purpose of everything we've taken at here, what we did right here at Prime, is that tell me what's holding you back. Just give me a list of what's holding you back. Because I can literally take all that off your plate and you'll still be held back. Because
I like that.
The last thing is taking action on what it is. So you're saying you want leads. You're saying you want a better social media content. You want a podcast. Yeah. You want pictures. You want hairstyles. You want professional video. You want
marketing, branding.
You want to connect with
development.
other people.
I want development. I want to get better. I need support. Yeah. Right?
I got coaching.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't make the coaching call.
Yeah.
So everything that people think is the ultimate solution, I could literally put that on your plate and say, look, now you have it all.
Yeah.
But it's up to certain individuals, which is why you see maybe 1 out of every 20 people actually succeed. Because even if you put everything in front of them, they're not going to pick.
Yep.
They're not going to do anything with them.
They won't.
Which I think that's why I'm saying, like, talk to people that have tried certain things, get close to them, figure out what's really working, and try it out.
Yeah.
And then you figure out, like, you don't need all 20 things. Literally, if you tell me, like, give me a phone and a piece of paper, and we're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
So, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I love talking to this guy when we sit and we start brainstorming, things just happen.
Yeah.
We're going to have him back, if you don't mind.
Let's go.
We'll be more specific. I know we're all over the place today.
Oh, man. This is how it starts.
Just follow us, subscribe, and let me know if you guys have any questions for Andy in the future.
Let's go.
Thank you, brother.